All right, guys, we're going full screen for this one because all I really have in this video is a simple message for the organization. And I hope they can hear this message and I hope it affects their decision making over the next couple of days. Likely, no, but I can try. So we are about 4 hours away from the start of day two of the draft. And we are about 6 hours away from the Seahawks making a pick. Actually, probably a little more than 2 hours if we know anything about the way this team does business. And I have a request of this organization, and that request can be best summed up with the following three words: don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's a weird draft for the Seahawks. We only have 3 picks. That's not a lot. The team with the second least number of picks has 6, so we have half of theirs. We don't have a first round pick or a third round pick. One of our picks is a late seventh rounder. It's a very small number of groceries that we're trying to use to stock this shelf with. I admit that. But what I want to say before things start in 4 hours, that's okay. Don't be afraid of that. We put ourselves in this situation. We dealt ourselves this hand by trading away so many of these picks for veteran players who I like and think will be a part of successful seasons to come for the Seahawks. Okay. And I understand. I understand that you were watching the draft yesterday thinking, oh, that player could have been a Seahawk if we didn't trade for Jamal Adams. Oh, that player could have been a Seahawk if we didn't trade for Jamal Adams. And I know you're going to be looking at the player pool available today and you're going to think to yourself, wow, I really like a lot of these guys. But I only have 3 picks. I can't get all of them. So I got to trade down 18 times and turn my 3 picks into 25 picks. I got to own the entire 6th round so we can stock up on practice squad defensive backs. And, that strategy, it's worked out before. We have gotten great players late in the draft before. We have gotten great players outside of the draft before. We have gotten gems out of the late rounds. There was a period of time where we did it better than anyone else, and it wasn't even close. Lately, I don't know if you can say that that's the case, but we've done it very well in the past. But you know what? Let this be the year where maybe you switch things up. Because I got to tell you, I think this team is close. I think you've done a really good job building this team in the offseason, putting it together over the course of the last few seasons. I think we've got a chance to make a run at things in 2021 with one or two more good pieces. So, what I'm really trying to tell you is don't be afraid of only having 3 picks, and don't be afraid of taking the player that everyone thinks you're going to take when your pick comes up. Don't try to trade down every time. Don't take some player that nobody's ever heard of every time. Don't try to shock everybody. Don't try to go against the grain. Sometimes that works. I'm not going to sit here and act like we haven't had a lot of success doing things like that in the past. But sometimes it really doesn't work. And when it doesn't work, it's a pretty spectacular failure. We've had a few of those in recent years in the draft for the Seahawks. So, tomorrow, when our pick comes up at 56, I don't need to tell you guys, don't be afraid to trade back if the player isn't there. I don't, because I know you guys are good at that. You guys love to do that. If the right player isn't there, you guys will trade back, and that's cool. But what I'm going to say to this team 6-ish hours before their first pick comes up, don't be afraid to not do that. If the right player is there, don't be afraid to just say, okay, I guess we're only going to have one pick in the top 120 this year. If you see a tackle who can push Brendon Shell for the starting job now and be the blindside protector for the next 10 to 12 years for this team, do it. We will not be missing those marginal role players you could have picked up in the early 4th round with a trade back if you can get us a premier tackle. If the right guy is there, don't be afraid. Just do it. If the wide receiver who you think Shane Waldron is really excited to work with, who can come in as a rookie, start over Freddie Swain, and have 50 catches for 700 yards and 5+ touchdowns as a rookie and he's there, don't be afraid. Take him. Just take him. I know not picking again until 129 will hurt, but I think it would hurt more to have the opportunity to get that one really kick-ass starting player and saying, no, we need depth. We need somebody who can come off the bench for 10 snaps a game at Sam linebacker. If the tight end who can start as a rookie and catch 40+ passes for 500 yards, if he's there, go for it. Don't be afraid. Just do it. If the cornerback that has the attributes and the skills to turn into the next Richard Sherman in Pete Carroll's defense is there, don't be afraid. Take him. Yeah, all the experts on ESPN and CBS and Yahoo, they're going to say, oh, yeah, of course they did that. That pick makes all the sense in the world. And I know you hate that for some reason. You just hate hearing, oh, yeah, the Seahawks did what everyone expected them to do. I know it's a lot more fun for you guys when you do something that nobody saw coming. But don't be afraid to make this the year when you just follow the beaten path. Because sometimes that beaten path does produce the best results. So I'll say it again. We need a few things to make this 2021 season potentially special. If one of those things is there when you come up at 56, don't be afraid of doing what everyone expects you to do. Don't be afraid of not picking again until 129. Just do it. That is my request of this team tonight. I'll see you guys later. Going live in about 4 hours, a little less now. But yeah, I just want this team to be open to the possibility of using that 56 overall pick. Because I know that they want to trade down. But I'll tell you what, these other teams, they know that we want to trade down too. We do it all the time. Last year we tried to do it, we just couldn't find the right trade partner. So at a certain point, they're going to go, that team wants to trade down so bad, I'll bet we can get the better end of the deal. And then we're going to start seeing trade backs where we're getting the short end of the stick because the other team knows that we're desperate to trade back. So last year we ended up deciding, we're just going to take whoever we like the most here. Don't be afraid to do that again this year. And don't be afraid if it just so happens to be a player that everyone likes. If Samuel Cosme is there and you take him, you're going to get A+ all over the internet probably. And maybe you would prefer to get that C- because that makes you feel like you're doing something right if the experts say you're doing something wrong. But don't be afraid of the A+. Sometimes that A+ ends up being spot on. And I can see a couple of A+ picks potentially tomorrow that are going to be pretty spot on. There's some really interesting talent that should trickle down to number 56 tomorrow. Don't let it pass you by. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks.